I have spoken. I am Candler Budd, and with me as always, Mr. Brian Chapman, and this is Grab the Remote. Because, ladies and gentlemen, we have rewatched The Mandalorian Episode 1.
There was a really funny meme about the rise of Skywalker and the Mandalorian. It's like a parent holding a kid in a pool, and the kid they're holding is the Mandalorian, and the rise of Skywalker is the other kid who is barely treading water. So, we don't have to go down that path, but I think that what Star Wars has needed for so long finally happened, which was a way to flesh out new characters. This takes place 5 years after Return of the Jedi, the Battle of Endor, and we're both kids of the 70s and 80s. So my imagination was always captured by Boba Fett. Like, I was the fan who bought most books when I was a kid, and I drew Boba Fett. If you're an artist, or if you were like to draw, I drew more Mandalorians. I'm talking hundreds and hundreds of different types of Mandalorians through the years. So I'm so glad there's no Boba Fett movie, because this is what was needed.
At different points in the Star Wars fandom, there was talk of a live-action television series, and every time I always thought, that would be horrible idea. My thoughts on The Mandalorian, it's the same gut reaction I had to the Avengers. And just the fact that it was made and it didn't suck, the fact that we have a Star Wars television show, a series that is well done, it's well acted, it's well written, special effects are cinema level, is pretty amazing.
Cinema level. I like that.
Cinema level, yes. And really, I know we're going to only talk about episode 1 today, but really there was only really one episode out of the 8 that I was not crazy about.
There certainly have been television shows through the last decades that have, and HBO kind of was one of the forerunners of that, of the harbinger of really good television, like The Sopranos, right? To me is an example of something I looked at going like, wow, like this is unbelievable. And you don't want to see a movie because it is just a riveting television, and it needs seasons. This is a great template for what Star Wars can be on television.
It really is. And it brought together, I think, the fans in a way that the Disney films could not, unfortunately.
But you have Pedro Pascal, you have Carl Weathers, the cast. I mean, you have Nick Nolte's voice. Am I saying it right? Taika Waititi.
I think so. He is my third favorite character.
Yeah, and that guy has made himself into a legend. He's also. It's on the docket for him writing and directing a Star Wars film to be determined, I guess. So anyway, I have and I'm going to show this later, but I have the guide to the Star Wars universe. So this is the kind of Star Wars fan I was. 84.
Nice.
Return of the Jedi is over. This is where I found out pretty much everything that I needed to know. I found out that the Emperor's last name was Palpatine in this book. Boba Fett has a big paragraph that talks about the evil warriors known as the Mandalorians, and that they were defeated by the Jedi. So many things obviously get retconned through the years, but back to it.
It's funny you said retcon. I was wondering, in that book, are there things that don't line up with the prequels?
Clone Wars is one sentence. That's the best part.
Nice.
A conflict in the Old Republic, that General Kenobi was. So you basically have the unnamed Mandalorian. We can talk a little bit about how it feels like a Western.
There's been a lot of comparisons to the Mandalorian and the spaghetti Westerns, or Westerns that were made and shot in Italy.
Sergio Leone. Some of my favorite movies ever. And especially The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, which is ultra lengthy, but obviously Eastwood and Eli Wallach and gosh, I'm forgetting, and Lee Van Cleef. These guys are
Would the good,
legendary.
the bad, and the ugly be, I mean, the greatest spaghetti western, or at least your favorite?
Is my favorite. Yeah, I mean, so and then you have like Once Upon a Time in the West with Charles Bronson, which is also Sergio Leone.
Nice.
Not for everybody. I mean, but Leone has a specific style. Has that
And by the
very
way, we're so sensitive these days. If that term is offensive to anyone, I've meant no offense. I mean only love.
Sure. No, listen,
Yeah.
I'm not offended. It's what they call it.
Yeah.
So yeah, you have a lot of that. I mean, you just have the Eastwood vibe. A lot of people talk about the man with no name. I think his name was Joe. So there's a lot of that, the aura that's built up about one guy doing things for whoever pays the highest price. I'm interested in this from you. 5 years after Return of the Jedi, there's definitely some fan service right away when he gets his first. I like this term, bounty puck. They've made a lot of really. They've created a new fun universe inside of Star Wars with a lot of cool new things. So he gets Horatio Sands in full Gilman makeup.
He is and I mean this as a compliment. He is unrecognizable.
He's always been very likable and a good. I mean, he's fun.
He is.
I like seeing. I was like, wow, it's Horatio. Good job. So he gets Horatio on because I don't know his name, right? He gets him on the Razor Crest. That's his ship. I know these things because a scanner dorkly. We all know. So now you have the ship, the Razor Crest. He gets him on there. Horatio starts snooping around because he says he has to go to the bathroom. And of course, the Mandalorian.
I believe the phrase is empty his thorax,
Yes.
I believe.
Yeah. There's some funny back and forth. Or he's not really, Mando's not speaking. Comes to the point where he doesn't want him sneaking around anymore and he puts him in carbonite. Okay. My question to you is this something that resonated from Boba Fett and Han Solo? Because in my personal recollection, that had never been done before. Before Vader goes to Cloud City, wants to put Luke in carbonite because he thinks he might be too powerful. Instead, we got to check it because it might kill him. You put Han in there and away we go. And now Boba Fett has Han in carbonite. So it wasn't like Boba Fett is telling people, put him in carbonite. The idea that because of that, putting a human being in carbonite during The Empire Strikes Back, does that now turn into something that bounty hunters do? Because it seems like it was a brand new idea for Empire Strikes Back.
See, I thought you were saying, you're talking about actually in this universe, in the world, world, like historically. Yeah, probably. That's a great point. I haven't thought of that, but yeah, you're probably right.
And again, I loved it. It made it. I mean, I saw that in the little trailer piece, and I was like, "That's the best," and I was excited about it.
But this is where I thought you were going with it. Was it, or do we? If we didn't see Star Wars, would we understand what was going on?
Probably not.
I don't know. I think we would. I mean, you see someone. I don't know.
Do you have to be I don't know this either. I mean, are there any people who've never seen any Star Wars like, I'll watch this with no frame of reference? Perhaps.
Yeah.
And I was glad about all the surprises. And I've become that person who doesn't check anything anymore because I like being surprised. I think I know people who want to know everything before they go sit down, and I'm the antithesis of that. I don't want to know. I didn't know anybody was in it. When I saw the IG unit, I was so pumped.
It was really cool.
And so we talk a little bit about that when we did Empire, which is the bounty hunter lineup was everything to me as a kid, getting those toys, playing that. There's so many books too. And I don't know how many books you've read about the bounty hunters. I haven't read that many. Like I read the Heir to the Empire trilogy, which is pretty good. Shadows of the Empire is good. Dash Rendar. And so you have this phenomenal IG 88, which does nothing in Empire. So yeah, and the IG 11, You said I have spoken. We come to find out that his name is Queel, and he's one of my favorite new characters ever. Like, I love
All right.
Queel.
Why do we like him? Why do we like him?
He's honorable first and foremost, but I love his
Yes.
logic and all the things he talks about with servitude and why he is doing certain things. Is all grounded in him being just a like whatever an Ugnaught is in terms of how they live their lives. They've made that. Favreau has made that really, like, he put a lot of depth into just what an Ugnaught is. We saw obviously Ugnaughts in The Empire Strikes Back, and now you have this lone Ugnaught.
And when he says "I have spoken," is that 5 minutes he can't talk, or is that? But I love that "I have spoken." That's like we're done.
Right. Yeah. It's like that is this is the way it's going to go, and that's the one thing we have so many things of this. There's, we're going to talk about the end at the end, but they have, like I said earlier, they came up with a lot of things that stay in your mind, and you can say them. There's just a lot of, like I've spoken, has become something that you say, and so what I love about episode 1 is I'm engaged in all these characters, and I know that I'm going to be able to see them again on some scale, as opposed to let me wait a few years and maybe this character will be doing something else. So that's why I love the series. And Nick Nolte is always that's
He's
Nick
wonderful.
Nolte. Yeah, but that's like
Wonderful.
Nolte has done some great work.
Yes, he has.
And all these actors have done great work. So I love him being in this. We can talk a little about Werner Herzog.
I mean, the guy worked for NASA. The guy worked for NASA. He's an actor, a poet, a director, a writer.
Sure. Documentarian.
Documentarian. Thank you. I mean,
he's
just incredible.
Having him in it also lent itself. I mean, he needs to be a bad guy. Period. He's done so much work. I'm familiar with.
And he would probably be happy to hear you say that.
Yeah, definitely. But he's just one of these guys who's just, he's a sharp tack. If you look at his work, it's just like, it's not all like anything. Not everything's stellar, but his talent is there. And he also had this very tumultuous relationship with Klaus Kinski. So there's a documentary called My Best Fiend, which is the documentary about their terrible relationship. They, Fitzcarraldo, and there's a few other movies. And while we're talking about Werner, we should talk about one of my favorite documentaries that he did, which is Grizzly Man, about Timothy Treadwell. That's when you do the Timothy Treadwell. The inexplicable. I can't. That's because he narrates all this stuff. So I'm not going to do. I'm going to stop. Anyway, if you haven't seen Grizzly Man, go see it. It's about Timothy Treadwell, who decided to live in Alaska with the Grizzlies for several years, and it's just one of those.
I like to think of Nick Nolte hanging out with Werner Herzog. Even that, were they in any scenes together?
No, and you have like it's not even Nolte, I guess. It's just his voice. So I guess maybe they were at the cast party.
Werner, I'm so glad. That's a horrible Nick Nolte.
No, it's good.
I'm trying to match I'm Nick Nolte.
Yeah.
I'm so glad to be in the Mandalorian with Werner. Werner, how you doing, my friend? Good to see you.
Well, the inexplicable. Everything I have to say is just inexplicable.
Yeah. I'm working on another 48 hours. I would love for you to be the bad guy. I got Eddie Murphy doing it. You should always be the bad guy. I don't know.
I just want Gary Busey and Nick Nolte to have a conversation together.
Nice.
Those two.
Nice.
So, a perfect way to begin the series, I would say. We talked a little bit about Carl Weathers, one of our favorites, who's always solid, and I'm just so glad that he's recurring.
Carl Weathers, who we love, we've talked about him before. Of course, he's a big part of the Rocky saga, and
certainly.
The appearance of Carl Weathers was one of two times that I was reminded of the Rocky saga in the Mandalorian premiere. there was the scene where they're riding on the what are
Blurgs.
the blurgs? Yeah, sorry, the blurgs. And I had a Rocky kind of feel. I kind of felt like it was kind of a training montage, and the music
Oh
too.
yeah,
Yeah, the
that's great.
music to me has kind of is it Conti that does Rocky?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it has a Bill Conti kind of thing to it.
Speaking of that, Candler, how do you feel that you have a new soundtrack, very different type of music? How did you feel about the music in this? Not being
It's
traditionally Star Wars.
it's weird. Like so many times when I've watched the prequels or the Disney Star Wars or the Clone Wars cartoons, I thought, well, that's not Star Wars. But the Mandalorian to me is Star Wars, even though it is very different. So it's different, but not different. The only way I can explain it is that it works. I
Yeah.
love the music.
It it grew on me. I think that's
Oh,
part
really?
of yeah. That's for me. It's like it's not that I didn't like it. It's just that oh well, this is what it is, you know. And then you start enjoying it heavily. It's in my head right now, like boom boom ding ding. You know that
Oh,
whole
I
thing.
love it. And
Yeah.
a few months back, I was going to work out. Don't laugh. And I thought, I wish I could just listen to the Mandalorian theme in loop. And of course, I go to YouTube. There's 50 other idiot fans like me that have already done it. So you can go to YouTube and 50 other people have put that song in loop. You could hear it for 2 hours straight, just
Perfect.
looping. But
So that's a good to know. The speaking of that with the music at the end, you know the credits, and I wish I'd have done the research on this, but there is some really great artwork when the credits roll, which
at the end
basically
of every episode,
yeah, which outlines the scenes and the it's kind of some pivotal scenes of the movie, and it reminds me of the Ralph McQuarrie concept drawings. I don't know if they were going for that. I mean, the artist, whoever did it, and I wish I knew, I should know, so good. And it just has that old feel to it. So yeah, there's so many things to like about it. So we're kind of giving it a love letter. Um, if you, they've done a good job of taking things from everywhere, the prequels, the
the holiday special.
the holiday special. So you have, and this is a good time to put that up, which is the Boba Fett was the first appearances in the holiday special, as you know, Star Wars fans. But he has a specific rifle that is forked, and there you have it. Mando has one of those, and I love that. It made me
There's a
so
Life
happy.
Day reference.
Yes,
Life
there.
Day.
So they are having fun picking and choosing from all of the different movies. So a Kowakian monkey lizard. That's I believe, is what Salacious Crumb was. Jabba's little toady, his,
Yes.
his little terrible lackey, and to have that thing skewered and turning
With a loved one or friend or brother or sister or mother watching. Yeah.
abysmal.
Yes. Yes.
The stormtroopers creep me out so we go to see the client, which is Werner Herzog, and the stormtroopers like looked sickly, like they looked smaller almost. I mean,
I thought that too. And I'm sure that was by design.
that was quite good, and we're all over the place, but that's fine, you know, right? So basically, the Mandalorian, who has no name, gets a mysterious puck, I guess you could say, from Grief Karga, who hands out bounty pucks to go to see someone who is hanging on to the remnants of the Empire. And so when they go there, they're basically, and I think this is the first you get Dr. Pershing. I had to write that down. Dr. Pershing, the guy, is that the first time we have glasses in Star Wars? That's what I
Oh,
want to
that's a
know.
good question.
Mr. Glasses. You're
Maybe.
the first evil Empire nerd, Dr. Pershing, and his glasses. If you can think of any more glasses, let me know.
Oh, you may be right on that.
So you have those guys who basically have, they're telling him that you get a piece of Beskar, right? The metal. That's something new for me. And the thing that the asset they have to pick up is 50 years old.
So clearly what he's going to pick up is a 50-year-old adult, not a baby, an adult. 50. Yeah. Makes sense.
That's great misdirection, by the way. I like
Absolutely.
I feel bad for anybody who knew that a species of Yoda was going to be something he found. If someone knew that, I feel bad for them. The element of surprise in that is so good.
Yeah, this show came out in November, and
Right.
Disney took a big gamble in not releasing the Baby Yoda toy that Christmas, because they could have made a lot of money, but they said, you know what, we want the element of surprise, and
They're already
gamble.
Loaded, by the way. That's
I know, but
these things about money. It's like
I know, but
Yeah.
they could have made more money. I mean, they are
money,
for profit, but
money.
It is interesting that they decided, and they kept it under wraps.
And I think that's Favreau. I think we just talk about John Favreau. We talked a little bit about Waititi and his status, but I give a lot of credit to John Favreau because that's the smart stuff.
He's the
writer,
the MVP of Mandalorian, I would say.
Totally. Well, he's the MVP of Star Wars at this point.
True.
I think the idea that he's hopefully getting some control so that some really good things can, because it's all about having fun and loving this property. Like that's the one thing we've talked about through our Star Wars talks is that no matter how much griping we do, and I'm looking forward to a few other talks about it, like there is a genuine love for it and really not that much hate. I mean, even the stuff we don't like, I mean, we still, there's it's the old thing that happens. What do they say? What's the person who hates Star Wars the most is Star Wars fans, right?
Oh yeah.
So easy for me to say. So yeah, for me, gosh, this is a perfect way to start it, and you leave in a way that gets IG-11 out of the way, but not before you get him as a great sidekick in a shootout at the stronghold, the compound. So,
which was awesome
because you see, I'm going to say it again. Like there's IG-88 like that. By the way, Christmas 1980, one of the best Christmases ever
for a lot of people.
May Empire Strikes Back comes out, and then the toys aplenty. So IG-88 stands there like a bump on a log. And so you finally get to see the.
Do you think Jimmy Carter got a toy IG-88 for Christmas 1980?
Did he really?
I hope he did, because he was having a bad Christmas. I hope he got.
He was.
And I'm saying that to be nice. I hope he got.
Billy gave it to him. Billy.
Good.
Here you go, Jimmy.
He's our fellow Georgian. We love him.
So to see how that thing moved was just, and the comedy. I mean, the self-destruct stuff was great. How did you feel about there's some flashback stuff, and we also need to talk about. Okay, talk to me. How do you feel about the flashbacks about him being a little baby? Let's talk about that, and then let's talk about going into the Mandalorian. Oh gosh, whatever that was, the little they call it something.
Foundlings. He was a foundling.
Right. So, how did you feel about that?
And the writing was very simple. This can help many foundlings. I was once a foundling. I know. Bang! It's on the the flashbacks are on top of the steel being created.
It's good.
And it was very simple. It was very, I don't know, maybe 2 minutes, if that. And you got what you needed to know, that this Mandalorian has a past. And the past is that he was some kind of refugee in some kind of war-torn area. Our knowledge of Star Wars, that we think back, I guess this was during the Clone Wars, perhaps, we're guessing. And I talk a lot about exposition, and you got to have a lot of exposition in an opening premiere of a pilot of a television series. I thought the exposition was great. Carl Weathers delivered a lot of it. You learned exactly what you needed to learn. And I keep coming back to, if there wasn't a Star Wars, like if just The Mandalorian came out and there was no Star Wars, or if I had never seen Star Wars, I got to say, I think it's hard to say because I do know Star Wars, but if I didn't know Star Wars, I think this show is still really, really, really fantastic.
I agree totally. So we have I don't know her name. There's a lot of people, and again, you have to find out a few people's names along the way, that's fun. Like Queel, for instance.
Yeah.
But the female Mandalorian metallurgist, or whatever that is, whatever she was, she's great.
I know.
And
Bang.
and I think I think that's that part of the Mandalorian culture, the way they started to sprinkle some things in about the armor and her role in doing that there for them is so cool. And you just want, again, and I'm an action figure guy, but that's the one you want. Like, you want to have her, the whoever that is, the female Mandalorian. How many Mandalorians did I draw? I mean, hundreds. It's unbelievable. I wish I could just show you. And it's just ridiculous how many I've thought about as a kid. Once I realized, wow, there's a group of these guys out there,
Yeah.
planet, the whole thing. So for this to come around has been great.
And then you see them flying around with their flamethrowers and everything, and you think, well, why didn't they take over the Empire? They seem so much more impressive than.
Maybe we'll find that out.
Maybe we'll find out. Why was Jon Favreau able to pull off a series that seems to be so much more accepted by the Star Wars fans than Kathleen Kennedy and those directors for the Disney films?
That's hard. That's a tough question. Very tough question. Goodbye. Good night.
And maybe in defense, I'm really trying to be fair here. Maybe in defense of Kathleen Kennedy and Rian Johnson and the others, maybe television was just a better medium for it. Maybe. I don't know.
I appreciate the question, and it is difficult because if I haven't thought about it, I'm just gonna riff. I think that if it seems to me that they did not put the trilogy together with all minds thinking about it and trying to come up with a story, it looked like it was passed on, kind of like, here's what I have, says JJ, and then
yeah.
So you basically have a setup. No one took the setup, and then JJ came back around and tried to fix the not taking of the setup.
Yeah.
And those are certainly good actors. I will always say this is that Daisy Ridley is very engaging, very a great actor, and I was interested to see her character develop, but they kind of went down a different road. So we can talk about that when we get there. We digress. And so for me, gosh, what does it look like if the J.J. Abrams Force Awakens is a TV show? It might be different,
right?
Because you have some time to flesh things out, and certainly you've talked about it. Not every episode is going to be your favorite, but at least there's some time to flesh it out. So we shall see.
Jon Favreau did many things. It's funny that he's connected to Star Wars and the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because I think without his, he wrote and directed the Iron Man, or
I know he directed it. So
he directed it.
I'm not going to go past and go, let me check IMDb.
Right.
But I tell you what, I think I mentioned this before to you, or I don't know, because I have good amnesia, but they have these little actor things, and Jeff, it was like some Esquire. I don't know what it is. Like Jeff Bridges is on there. Obviously, Jeff Bridges was in the first Iron Man. And he has this great thing to say about Favreau that says, like, Favreau could really do it all. He's great with the actors, but he's also good with the suits. And that always resonate with me, because you got to deal with the studios.
Sure.
Studio and how they are, like
yeah.
the non-creative. So the way he's able to maybe be pretty deft in that has been great. And he's certainly done so many wonderful, fun things, and as an actor and as a director and writer. So kudos to all that. And there's a bunch of different directors that have gone, that they used, and they all really did wonderful work during this season as we talk about it. And so if you set it in motion in the right way, which they have, you're going to have people who are going to come in and really have fun making this story run. And so that's what that's that. You know, this is what it's all about: having fun watching Star Wars, even a show.
Exactly. Well, again, I'm really excited to rewatch the rest of season one and to talk about it in future episodes. I'm also very excited to see season two. We're already hearing some really cool stuff about it. And again, is it a spoiler if the studios release the information? I would argue it's not a spoiler, but
I mean, it's out. It's
we
out
know
there.
some things that have
Yeah.
been officially announced.
You know, this is coming to the end. You know, we didn't talk about it all, and I think we should still let it come to an end. We barely touched on Baby Yoda, which has become such a hilarious phenomenon.
He works. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. I mean, Baby Yoda works. He's
Well,
lovable.
there's so much. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, he's lovable. But also you're scared of him. I mean, maybe he's evil. We don't know. I mean, there's so much we don't know.
I think that we love Yoda so much as well, and also all the unknowns. And you feel like whatever happens, that the Favreau and I don't know. There's more. We're not naming all the people who have done.
Well, there's Dave. Is it Dave Filoni, the guy
There
that's the animator that was in charge of Rebels and I guess some of Clone Wars.
Yeah, thank you for bringing him up. Good.
Yeah, and he's one of the producers and
he directed this first one, I believe. So yeah.
Yes, he directed the first one.
So yeah, for me it goes like this. Like we need to talk about something very quickly. Just speaking about Baby Yoda, because that kind of got people involved that don't really care about Star Wars. They just love this cute, adorable, the most adorable thing in the history of the universe. Minus, if you're not talking about Gizmo from Gremlins, right?
Baby Yoda is way cuter than Gizmo.
Oh, of course, yeah, completely. I'm just saying, like in general, I think Gizmo is pretty darn cute. There's a thing, and I want to talk to you about it sometime. There's this magazine that I was looking through. It's some old Star Wars magazine from a few years ago, and it's like the top 40 best characters of all time. This came out in Star Wars. In all of Star Wars. And we had to talk about it. It is the worst list ever. It makes me laugh so hard. Like the Rancor Keeper is on there. Like the guy who loved the Rancor, the portly gentleman who cried over the Rancor's demise. I mean, it is ridiculous. And it just feels kind of like a shill wrote it. Sorry to get negative, but like there's just some weird, like they put a bunch of Disney prequel people in there, like, and then you like the order's weird of like where people are, and you're like, wait a minute, why is Poe more popular? And of course, it's subjective. This is
right.
Just, who knows? But we have to talk about that because that brings into kind of this my favorite ... And like Baby Yoda has become this all of a sudden this. I don't like using icon. That's such a overused word, but like it's like he has become this really wonderful phenomenon.
Well, just his existence raises so many questions in a good way, in a cool way. Oh. The fact that we immediately know that he's powerful, we immediately know that he's the same species as Yoda, and
that age thing, the weird age thing, like Yoda's 900, right? So
yeah.
When he was 50, he was still a little wee tiny.
Yeah.
So yeah, so many good things. Everything we talked about makes me just really excited to see what happens in October, and I'm glad we're going to go through these. And
it's another. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm saying it's funny that this is the way we do it, though. We don't do it right away. We wait months and months, and then we have a revisiting. That's the way it's got to be. The revisit, right? That's the way it should be. I
would like to hit the ground running with season 2 when it comes around.
Let's do that. Yeah.
I enjoyed watching a television show that I wasn't binge watching because I heard Mandolorian was coming out, and I said I think it's one of 3 times I put my foot down in our marriage. I never do, but I said, we got to get Disney. We got Disney, and I think it was Friday nights. I think maybe I can't remember the night of the week, but I would watch it, and then I would wait a week, and then watch the next one.
So that has come up a little bit lately. There's been a few shows like that where you're waiting, and I think that's great because it's OG, right?
Yeah.
Not really.
Yeah.
But for me, it goes like this. I hated when people say, "Have you seen the season of blah?" And I'm like, no. And so then you can't talk about it with the people you want to talk about it because they're sitting around, you know, drinking coffee, watching all of Making a Murderer. While I'm like, I'm only on episode 2. So, and I'm really not watching that much stuff, but yeah, you're right on target with that. I love that you have to wait, and then you can chat about it with whoever you want to chat about it with. And you don't have to feel like you're spoiling anything. You're watching. Hey, let's talk about 45 minutes of this show. They Defending Jacob did that on Apple TV or whatever, where you're like every Friday night it would come on. I don't like saying drop because that's also one of those things I don't like. Yeah, the episode dropped. Oh gosh.
I say drop. You always bring up these things that are lame. I'm like, I say that all the time.
Did the album drop? It dropped. Good. Did you get the album that dropped?
But I emailed Daniel Chun when the comic book episode dropped. I said, "Are your episodes about to drop?" So I'm.
And he said, "Thanks, man."
Yeah, and then he texted you. Did you hear what Candler said? He said lame.
Oh, I'm sorry. Listen, that's the one thing about us riffing. We may say things that offend each other, and later we'll pause and say, I apologize.
I apologize for saying spaghetti Western. I hope my Italian brother-in-law is not too offended that I said spaghetti Western.
I don't think you can. And again, it's basically Sergio Leone, right? Who in that music, gosh.
It's wonderful.
Enrico. I don't even know his name, but that music's good. So I think we've come to the end. We've done well.
It's been great.
Did you record this, or are we just talking?
I recorded.
Hopefully we're having fun talking. That's only
we are having fun, brother. Well, I'm Candler Bud.
I'm Bosk, the bounty hunter.
And Bosk, I love Bosk.
He's so good. I think there was a few Trandoshans in episode 1.
Yes, yes.
What Bosk is. Those,
yes.
You had some Nick Toes. You had some of these guys that they're doing a lot of deep cut callbacks to a lot of these creatures, and I love that. So good.
Me as well. And ladies and gentlemen, this is Grab the Remote. I have spoken.